Hey everybody, Greg here, and this is another video about website design and responsive design, mobilized websites. Today we're going to be looking at a website that just got rebranded or updated, and I happened to stumble onto it. I noticed some things and I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead and make a video commenting about what I see here. So right now, I'm going to cut away back to my display, which it's like a 43-inch 4K television, basically. But because it's such high resolution and it's a Samsung, it looks like a regular computer display, just supersized. So that's what the video feed is coming from that you're seeing. And the website then, it's for John Huntsman. He just announced today a lieutenant governor pick, who is Provo Mayor Michelle Kaufusi. I think I'm saying that right. And so anyway, they updated the website. Now, I'm usually on Safari on an Apple, and that is because I like that Apple ecosystem. I'm synchronizing to my phone and iPad and laptop. So that's what I first kind of jumped to. And let me pull that front and center, and I'm going to move Chrome and Firefox to the side. But as you'll see in the Safari browser, I got sort of images off the page, and it just was not sizing properly. It wasn't scaling properly. So let me zoom out a little bit more. And even when I'm zooming out, only until I get to this spot do I get a good picture of John and Michelle. So, and you can see as I'm sizing smaller, what I'm getting is what would be a mobile version of the site. The menu is collapsed into these three lines up here. So that was kind of what I was seeing, is just that it didn't quite look right. Now, for people, especially if you're a developer and you're designing a website and you're testing it out, and you're on, let's say, this is Firefox, hey, it looks pretty good. But that's the importance of, it underlines the importance of using different browsers to test your website, particularly after a redesign where you may not be sure what a change, how it will be impacted and displayed. So, looking good on Chrome. It's nice that the logo here resizes when we're scrolling down, and these buttons disappear, but there's the menu, and you can see there's the page. And again, here is Chrome, same kind of responsive design. Notice the picture is basically scaling and resizing just as it needs to at certain breakpoints. The only thing I notice across all of the browsers is that when the picture is in that larger mode, you'll see how Michelle is not fully showing. It's only when you kind of broaden it out. Now, maybe people are used to dealing with these issues when they're on a computer. They'll just size the window until it looks right, But ideally, you'd want to have it designed so that whoever's visiting the site, it's going to look good for them, regardless of what browser they're in, what size window they've selected, etc. You want that first impression to be good. I did notice when I make the screen a little smaller, maybe this would correspond to like, a tablet or something, an iPad. Some people would say that there should be more of a margin around these buttons. So kind of a buffer between the buttons and the picture. That's a little tiny, issue. But otherwise, where the site's working as it should, it's looking pretty good. The drop-down menu is nice. Most people are familiar with this menu on the left that can pop out. Other sites would have the menu drop down. I almost would prefer that in a way that, if the menu just drops straight down, you can easily read it and it's not, sliding the site off to the side, but that's not a big issue. So let's go back, though, to these issues that we're seeing with Safari, and basically what it is that here that image is scaling well, but then as soon as I get to sort of iPad size. It looks like it would be cut off. Then the picture gets big but kind of skewed to the left and cutting off the bottom of it. These buttons are just sort of floating here. Anyway, it may be more of a problem with Safari than the site design itself. And I know that sounds like sort of an excuse, but sometimes it's just difficult trying to get a site designed just right. So it's going to render for these multiple browsers. You have to make sort of compromises. And one other thing I noticed was the social media buttons. That's sort of a cool effect, they're like grayed out, and if you hover over them, you'll see them. I'm not getting that same thing happening here in Firefox. And if I jump over to Chrome, again, I'm not getting those buttons there. It's not clear where I would find those social media buttons, but if I'm back in Safari, I do see them. And I'm going to jump out to Facebook because I want to show you how that's looking. Good here to have the consistent branding. The logo from the website is the same as the header on the Facebook page. That's nice. But this picture, and again, not a big issue, but it's sort of in, it doesn't fit properly in that circle. So when you do pick a photo for Facebook, ideally you'd want one that's kind of cropped to be 1:1 ratio, a square picture, and that way it doesn't look like cut off in there. It looks a little more professional when you can do that. And sometimes that requires maybe getting a square background, putting a picture on top of it, then cropping that picture to kind of fit in the square, or giving it a round bezel around the outside or whatever. But otherwise, though, yeah, the site looks pretty good. And, for those of you unfamiliar with John Huntsman, he is running for governor out in Utah, and he's a Republican, but he served under Barack Obama. He's held many posts and positions that are really not partisan. They're just service posts as an ambassador to China or what have you. And even again, with being a governor, he kind of stays out of politics, even though he's a politician. So that's what makes him sort of interesting. But anyway, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, if there's something else you notice about the site, I didn't browse around through all the pages, but basically it was kind of that first impression there. And you can see the campaign's still, just really getting started for them. And there are going to be tweaks along the way, I'm sure, and they'll have time to hire on digital marketing staff and such. These buttons, I notice, are kind of jumping up there over the menu links. And that also is kind of hard to predict and difficult to control, but it just takes a lot of effort to make it so those buttons would stick somewhere else. You could add them to the menu itself, but then what happens is you just end up with too many menu options, and then it wraps around to a second row. Maybe some tabs off to the right-hand side. That can be done where there's a sticky tab or button on the right, as long as it doesn't cover up other content. That might be an option. I would think there might be a link that could just say, action or join the team could include donation and merchandise anyway. All right, well, hey, that's it. If you're finding this video on YouTube, you can just post some comments below. If you found it on the Resources for Life website, you can post a comment there or get in touch directly through Resources for Life. So thanks for watching. Thanks for all of the likes and shares and follows. I'll catch you next time. Take care.